You cannot eat an animal until a government vet that puts a stamp on it. They look at worms, they look at all the signs, they look at the liver, they look at the heart, they look at the lungs. If there's any issues, they condemn that carcass. Yeah, so we condemn about 15 to 20% of the carcass in Kenya. That is a lot. And you know where they end up? In the informal settlements. There's a disease in Maasai land that once there's an outbreak, your cow is not supposed to drink water. So this one lady in Emali, when she went to start her cattle business, she was told by the locals that, hey, your cow is suffering from a common disease around here. Please make sure it doesn't drink water. So she's like, wonder what will happen. So the doctor comes and takes care of the cow, the vet, right? So she decides, this cow hasn't drank water since Jana. Let me give it some water. Sure enough, the cow dies. The people who told her this have not gone to school. She has a master's in law. Livestock keeping is very scientific. To us, it's very simple. You have cows, let it eat grass, then produce milk or for meat, and then right? No, it's more than that. You need to know when to feed this cow. You need to know when not to feed it. You need to know when the cow is sick. You need to know the symptoms of which type of sickness. You need to know, the size of herd you need to have. You need to know the kind of bull you need to be, like you're breeding bull. So such things, if you haven't taken time to experience it over a long period, then for you to be very, simple, but it's very scientific.
All right, guys, before we get into the conversation, allow me to give a quick shout out to our friends at FarmSentry.ai. Now, been following this podcast for a while now, you know that I'm a huge believer in treating your farm as a business. And this is one of the biggest problems I see a lot of farmers have, is that they don't take the farm seriously. You see them running the farms using WhatsApp groups, maybe phone calls, and just relying on the memory to keep their basic data. And this is why they almost always run their farms to the ground. Enter FarmSentry.ai. FarmSentry is a farm management platform that helps you really keep your records, manage your crops and livestock, plan your farm activities, track your expenses, and most importantly, it shows you if your farm is making money or not, all through your phone. Now, my favorite feature by far is the diagnostics tool. Let's say you're working on the farm and you see a leaf that doesn't look quite right, like this one, for example. All you have to do is just open your FarmSentry app, tap the diagnosis, take a photo, and ask the question, what's wrong with my leaf? And within seconds, FarmSentry analyzes the image, identifies the likely problem, and recommends what action you should take. And just like that, you are no longer guessing. And that is the power of AI right in your pocket. Right now, FarmSentry is offering a 30-day free trial. All you have to do is head over to FarmSentry.ai or simply search FarmSentry, that is Farm, S-E-N-T-R-Y, on Google Play Store or App Store. And you get to experience all these amazing features within FarmSentry. And when you like it, which I'm sure you would, be sure to use my coupon code ORGANICGUY for a 20% off. That is Organic Guy for a 20% off. All right, let's get into the conversation. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Organic Guy podcast. This is your home of organic conversations. I'm your host, the Organic Guy. And right around here, we have conversations on how we can make our food systems really get to work for us rather than against us. Today, I want us to have a conversation on the livestock industry. I'm sure in most cases, when someone mentions the livestock industry, one way or another, you just picture a Maasai man somewhere, tending to their livestock. And in most cases, we don't tend to associate technology with livestock. So today, I want us to have a conversation around that. And can we actually incorporate tech in the pastoralist and the livestock industry to help make it a little bit more efficient? And to help me have this conversation, I'm super delighted to be joined by Sikukuu Maclanhan. I hope I got that one right, from LiveStockEx. So super delighted. Thank you very much for making time for the pod.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, the first thing is your name, I guess. I'm sure this is a question you probably get a lot of the time when you introduce yourself. You go by the name of Sikukuu, and in English translation, I'm guessing it's like a holiday. So what is the story behind that?
So Sikukuu is my surname. Yeah, so my dad was born on the 25th of December.
And then, so you decided to pass that memories on your name as well.
So my earlier years when I was employed, I used to introduce myself as Maclanhan Sikukuu. So most of the time, people didn't read the second name. Most of the time, people read your first name. So when guys were expecting a guy of a different skin complexion, and I didn't want to confuse people, so I had to switch. So nowadays, when you tell somebody you're Sikukuu Maclanhan, people actually remember your first name. 90% of the time, people don't remember your second name. Maybe the advantage of having also a difficult second name is that people always remember my two names.
Do you always get that thing that you have to sort of explain your name? Like, it always brings a lot of curiosity from people.
Yes, it does. And I've got this a lot. There's one person, I won't say who, because my wife always reminds me of this story. So we're in the boardroom, and a sister to a very prominent Kenyan walks in, and then I tell her my name is Sikukuu. Then the entire meeting, she was just referring to me, oh, Sikukuu. And I'm sure she's never forgotten that name.
Yeah, interesting. I've got a lot of questions on some of the amazing work you're doing, especially in the livestock sector, trying to digitize trading, if you may, in the livestock industry. But before we get to that, I want you to help us, give us a little bit of context about yourself and how you got there. So give us a little bit of context, like where did you grow up? How was your background like? Was agriculture any sort of in your periphery, or were you involved in agriculture in any sort of way? And for yourself, like, if I was to come and ask some of your friends that you grew up with, how do you think will they describe you? More of an introvert, extrovert? So what was happening in that space?
So I grew up in two towns, right? I was born in Nairobi, but I was very quickly shipped to Kitale. Because, in the 80s and in the 90s, people used to balance a lot between working in Nairobi and then having your family in the village. So that's what happened to me. So I was born in Nairobi, but then went to Kitale. So in Kitale, you get to, interact with agriculture very, very quickly. And my grandfather had one of the largest tracts of land in Dalu. We even had a school and a church inside our farm. So that's how big his farm was. Yeah, so I always have a memory of myself, my sister, and my grandmother walking through the maize very early in the morning, taking milk to the roadside. And because they had very many cows, right, the workers were the ones following us with the milk behind us. So I interacted with farming at a very young age. Like, it has always been part of me. My dad still has farms in Kwanza, in Kitale. So he's doing sugar cane, and he has livestock and all that. So to me, if you go and ask anyone I grew up with, they'll always tell you I was never around during holidays. Because you close school today, tomorrow you're shipped to Kitale. Yeah, and in Kitale, no one cares you're from Nairobi. You have to go to the farm and work. So it's either you're out there with the goats, or you've taken the donkey to the watering hole, or you're harvesting maize, or you're looking after the cows. So it was always one thing or the other.
Yeah. I guess that is a very familiar picture for someone who grew in that era as well. And so I'm just thinking, when you are interacting in like, you're taken, maybe you're sent to like, hey, go take care of the goats. Are you looking at that as sort of an enjoyment? Like, are you enjoying that whole experience, or it's more of like, these guys are trying to punish me?
I used to enjoy it. So my dad made it a bit more fun for us. So my dad used to pay us because you're working, right? So some of us, some people would be told, oh, you're going to the farm. They'll be like, why farm? No, I want to stay in Nairobi, watch TV. But for us, you'd be like, you're going to the farm. We're like, yes. I'm going to earn money, right? Because in Nairobi, when you're going to school, no one is paying you for going to school. Yes, but for us, my dad actually used to pay us because there used to be six of us. So you used to do one thing or the other, especially when you're harvesting. As he's paying other workers, he's also paying you. So for us, the sense of you work and you get paid came early.
Interesting. I think for us, it was like, for the parents, it was a chance for them to get free labor from us. Because, I mean, they're giving you food, I guess. They're paying for your school fees. The least you can do is, hey, kuna shamba hapo unaweza ingia utusaidie. Ama kuna ng'ombe hapo inafaa kulishwa. Come evening, you'll need some milk. So you might as well work for it. So, but yeah, that's really responsible from your dad, I guess. Probably he learned it from somewhere. I'm guessing.
I guess so too. My dad is always a very curious man. My dad is 76 right now, going to 76, but he's still very hungry. He's one of the hardest workers I know. He's still very curious, likes to try new things. So yes, he learned it from somewhere. Definitely not from my grandfather, because my grandfather was not a farmer. So we originally from Bunyore. And my grandfather went to fight in the World War II, came back, got employed in Nairobi, stayed in Nairobi his entire life up until when he passed away. So my dad, I guess the city life kind of was not for him at a very young age, because when he was in his I think 13, 14, he went to stay with his aunt in Dalu. That's where he actually met my mom. So he was there as a herds boy. He was a very good herds boy, in such a way that at some point he even got his own herd. So he told his aunt, instead of paying me cash, I'll take care of your cows. So because she had a lot of dairy cows. That area, people used to have a lot of dairy cows. Because remember, this is post-independence. And post-independence, the white people were like coming out of the highlands. So they used to sell most of their cows, and the government was encouraging people, take some piece of land. Here the cows, tend to them. So my dad started, learning about livestock at a very young age. So his aunt, instead of paying him cash, like he told him, after every 4 cows, the 5th cow is yours.
Wow. Yeah, that's a really good way to start life. So yeah, it's really, really interesting background. And clearly there's some sort of resonance with agriculture. But how do you end up then having an interest in trying to solve a problem in the livestock industry?
I did not plan for it. I did Bachelor of Commerce at Strathmore University. I got employed. My first employer was a consultancy firm in Dubai. They moved me to Nairobi to take care of the East African office. My second employer was a construction company out of Singapore. Then COVID happens. Then you all of a sudden become jobless. Then 2023, one of my friends tells me, "Hey, bro, stop sitting in the house. Come help me with my tech company." So I go in as a business development head in the technology company. For the first 4 months, I did a crash course in tech because I'd never interacted with tech before. So here you have programmers, back end, front end, learning about servers and databases and all that, right? So at first I was like, why am I learning these things? Like how will that help me sell products for the company? But then I realized you really need to understand tech for you to go out there and sit with a client and say, you know what, we can take care of all your tech needs. 2024, LiveStockEx comes into the picture. So I never thought, like in my wildest dreams, that I was going to work in the livestock industry. I'd never thought about it before LiveStockEx. But when it did come, I always used to lean on my background because yes, mimi ni mchali wa mtaa, lakini pia mimi ni chali wa ocha. You understand? Like there's nothing about livestock will tell me that I don't know from experience. I didn't go to class to do it, but from experience. But then now you all of a sudden start to interact with technology and livestock consultants and vets and doctors and, then you start piecing a lot of things together. You're like, okay, kumbe when our cow was like this is what was happening, right? So that's how I ended up in LiveStockEx, right? It wasn't like a straightforward journey, like boom. No, it was just something that I believe just it was destined, So those are some of the things that God writes in your story, Like people will ask you, how did you get into podcast? And you're just like, you know what? I was curious, and this thing happened, and I met a guy in Baraza Lab, and then boom, But but many people always think it's like a straight line, and it's not, right? But I thank God that I have had this opportunity because I have traversed this country, and our country is big and it's beautiful.
That's an interesting perspective because I think in most cases, and this is the beauty of actually looking at things in hindsight. When you look things backwards and you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That I got to start a podcast, or like I ended up at a livestock exchange. So, yeah, when you look things from hindsight, they all tend to make sense. But I guess when they're happening in the moment, you just can't quite figure it out. Like, why is this happening? So you've been LiveStockEx for how long now?
2 years now.
How has been your experience, like just interacting with farmers in general?
Farmers are very simple people. Sometimes when you sit down with a simple person, it's very complex because you would want to figure out why does this person wake up in the morning, go out, look after these 100 cows, come back in the evening, wake up in the morning, start all over again. Because most of us have an end goal, I want to work like this. I want to save this type of money. I want to buy a house here. I want to buy this type of car. My kids will go to this, But this guy doesn't have those ambitions. He just wakes up in the morning, does the same thing over and over again, year in, year out. So on face value, it's a very simple thing to do, right? But it's very difficult. Boring things are the most difficult things to do. So for the first time I started interacting with farmers, I was like, okay, the livestock farmers are not like mixed farmers, because I come from a background where we had cows, we had a farm, we had chicken, you had everything. But for livestock farmers, that's what they do. They don't do any other thing. They're just in livestock. A sheep farmer, most of the time, doesn't do goats. And if they do goats, they do a small number. A cattle farmer doesn't do sheep. But if they do sheep, they do a very small number. And if they do, like if they have 500 heads of cattle, then the sheep and goat will not stay the same place the cattle are. So when you start to understand these things, you're like, okay, for me, I'm from the background where everything is just kept one place, right? You don't even think of, because the chicken is here, the goat is there, the cow is there, Behind there's a store for maize. No, these guys are like, they do it in a very scientific way. Then I came to realize that livestock keeping is very scientific. We think you just wake up and then you have a cow. No.
When you say like it's very scientific, what do you mean? Because ideally, as you said, it's like sort of a repetitive kind of thing. So you wake up, you say, tomorrow I need to get like feed for my livestock. So it's like kind of robotic in a way, but you're saying it's scientific. How?
You need to know when to feed this cow. You need to know when not to feed it. You need to know when the cow is sick. You need to know the symptoms of which type of sickness. And you haven't gone to school. You need to know that if this cow is sick, it's not supposed to drink. For example, there's a disease in Maasai land that once there's an outbreak, your cow is not supposed to drink water. So this one lady in Emali, when she went to start her cattle business, she was told by the locals that, hey, your cow is suffering from a common disease around here. Please make sure it doesn't drink water. So she's like, wonder what will happen. So the doctor comes and takes care of the cow, the vet, right? So she decides, this cow hasn't drank water since Jana. Let me give it some water. Sure enough, the cow dies. So the people who told her this have not gone to school. She has a master's in law. You understand? So as you're here, thinking that, these Maasais, bro, those guys have institutional knowledge. Like, they would even know which cow to breed with which one, right? They would even know a sterile cow. Just by the look, they tell you this one, here it has a chinja. And you'll be like, how did they know? So it's very scientific. So to us, it's very simple. You have cows, let it eat grass, it either produce milk or for meat, and then right? No, it's more than that. You need to know, like, the size of herd you need to have. You need to know the kind of bull you need to be. Like, you're breeding bull, for example. You need to know how many times that bull needs to go around your herd before you remove it. Because you cannot have one bull for the rest of your life. So such things, if you haven't taken time to experience it over a long period, then for you to be very, simple, but it's very scientific.
Absolutely. I think that makes sense. And I like the point you talked about, these guys have institutionalized knowledge. And I think that's a very important term to use, because nowadays, where, let's say you get maybe their kids are not that interested in the pastoralist or in the farming world. And I think there's a disconnect between that knowledge, the hold of knowledge, let's say the father, the grandfather, and that of the children. So I think there's that disconnect, and in a way, we are sort of losing that knowledge that has been institutionalized for a long, long time. And that knowledge where you can just look at a cow and say it's probably not going to give birth. That's deep knowledge, and that's the result of staying in that environment, interacting with the cows, and knowing how they behave, and just predicting what's going to happen. So I think that's knowledge we underrate a lot. So you are at Livestock Exchange. Just briefly, you can just give us a little bit of an overview. What exactly do you guys do, and how do you help farmers?
LivestockEx, Livestock Exchange, is a platform where farmers trade livestock. So we enable farmers to buy and sell livestock in a marketplace. Just like you go to an auction ring. I'm sure you know Bisil. Yeah, it should be the second or third largest livestock market in Kenya. So you go to Bisil, you see a cow, you like it, but so does 7 other people. So the farmer says, okay, me, I want 100,000. Sorry, the middleman says they want 100,000.
Yeah.
So you are like, may have 70. The other guy says, okay, may have 80. The other guy says 90. So the middleman says, okay, sir, 95. So one of you decides, okay, this is a good cow, you buy it. The livestock industry in Kenya, this is how it works. You're a livestock farmer, you take your cow to the market, but this market has owners. Your farm is yours, but the market belongs to people. The market doesn't belong to farmers. So you go there, you talk to the market owners, like, hi, I'm Brian. These are my 15 cows. I'd like to sell. They're like, okay, how much do you want to sell? I can't sell each cow at 70K. Like, okay, fine. Let all the cows go in. Tell you, Brian, you see that kahawa? Go and sit there. So you want 70,000 per cow? You say, yes, okay, go and sit. So buyers come in. So you've given your cows to this guy called Sikukuu. Guys come in. Like Sikukuu tells them, for each cow, 100K. You want 70. So you don't care about anything between 70 and 100. Us will get you 70 at the end of the day. So we haggle. All your 15 cows are sold. We bring you 70 times 15. We tell you, Brian, here. If you have more cows, please come back. So there are these guys who control markets, and the farmer is the one who does all the work. So as LiveStockEx, we're trying to now get better prices for the farmers. No, we are not the first one to do this. Uber did this, right? Supermarkets have been doing this for a long time, right? Because whenever technology comes in, the product and the client, that distance is reduced. So we want to reduce that distance between the cow and the end buyer. Because between the cow and the end buyer, in some instances, you could have 4 people. Now, we are not coming to replace the middleman. Just like any marketplace, the people who are going to sit down and say, you know what, I can actually buy from farmers and sell to the abattoirs at the convenience of my home. And they'll make a lot of money, right? So there are some guys that are telling me, oh, but you're replacing middlemen. They're going to shut you down. I said, when Uber came, what happened? So first, same. It's trying to make sure people who want the livestock, the people who are selling the livestock, have a place where they can interact, right? With a lot of transparency, with a lot of traceability, right? With a lot of trust. So if I don't know you, Brian, and you want to sell to me cows, the first thing I'll want to do is, who have you ever sold cows to before? You tell me, I sell to Kempinski. Kempinski, okay, that's a big brand. Then I can buy cows from you. But if you're selling it to your uncle, I'm like, maybe this guy doesn't know what he's doing. But if you're selling through LiveStockEx, somebody will know that, okay, so these cows have been checked by a vet, so they're free from disease. The number one thing that plagues the livestock industry is disease. All sorts of disease. Foot and mouth disease, this type of disease, or ticks, or nini. Livestock have a lot of issue. Because, unlike your title, the organic guy, there's nothing organic anymore. Because we've sprayed our animals, their immunity has become weaker and weaker. It changes their DNA. So a tick which used to like cooler this cow 20 years ago, if it coolers it today, that cow is not the same. It's not the same cow. So I think even what you're doing is very commendable, because we need to start teaching guys that, you know what, number one thing that you need to do is have a lot of biosecurity. You can't be keeping 1,000 cows and 10,000 people start coming to see these cows. They start spreading a lot of diseases, right? And that's what used to happen in the past. Somebody who had chicken, if you want chicken, you stand at the gate. How many chicken do you want? 2, 3, okay, pay. Then they go in the farm. The farm hand slaughters 2 chicken. They bring it for you at the gate. You don't go in. Yeah, but nowadays our farms are more open than some other places which you need to remain private. So we want to take back the farmer to those days when he used to keep the animals at the farm, and only a vet used to come and verify the animals, and so such that when they're being bought, the person who's buying the animals trusts that, okay, these animals have been checked, these animals are in a good farm, there's biosecurity and all that, right? If I open the cow up, it won't have worms because it's already been vaccinated and dewormed and all that. And then the cycle repeats itself. So we are trying to help all the stakeholders, not just farmers, the transporters, the vets, the buyers, the abattoirs, each and everyone in the value chain, to understand that let everyone do their work and let everyone trust that the other person has done their work. You don't need to get on your pickup, go all the way to Olkalau to look at goats or sheep, right? You trust that there's a vet there who has looked at those sheep, and the transporter will actually bring it to you.
Yeah, so I'm trying to understand. So when someone comes into your platform and registers, let's say I have like 100 cows, it's your responsibility to go to the farmer and actually verify if he has 100 cows, if the cow's in good health. I'm guessing that's financially, it can be, heavy.
Yes, that's why not many people are doing it. So we figured out how to do it, like using the local resources. Remember, LiveStockEx is a software platform, but we still need to use the local vets. So the local vet is the one who checks those animals. So if I'm a vet, if Sikukuu is a vet and is in Trans Nzoia County, Kwanza Sub-County, I will check the animals in Trans Nzoia County, Kwanza Sub-County, Kwanza Constituency, Kwanza Sub-Location. That's a real place. I'm not making it up. That's where I come from. You understand?
Same name.
Yeah, same name. So it's Kwanza Sub-County, Kwanza Constituencies, Kwanza Location, Kwanza Center. Right? So the vet there is the one who checks the animals there. Because 99% of the time, the vet knows all the farmers. So he can tell you, this farmer has good farming practices. This other one, they have to improve. So which better guy do you want to go and check the animals other than the guy who's already there? So then we share our commission with the vet. Yes, because I'm sure that will be your next question. So how do you make money? Yes, so every time a farmer sells their cow, we take 5%. Because we've given you a better way of selling your cow. So you're receiving the money. So the person who's buying the cow loads the money into the LiveStockEx. So once you agree on the platform, they push the money to the farmer. So the farmer stops getting 70K. All of a sudden they're getting 100. So from that 100, us we just want 5. You don't want 30, you just want 5.
That makes a lot of sense to me, considering if any of you look like other online platforms as well, their commission is like 8-12%. So I think 5% is really in the low side of things. For me, at least, you mentioned it earlier, when you go into the market, you're interacting with people, you're interacting with the seller of the cows. I mean, you're checking the cows yourself, you're seeing health-wise how they're looking. So how has been the response from some of the guys who've interacted with the platform? Are they comfortable enough to say, you know what, I trust whatever LiveStockEx is going to present to me when I buy from them is actually something of good quality?
So it's a process, right? Yeah, we've been in market for 2 years. The first year we're just doing a lot of customization. And then the past 12 months we've been doing a lot of sensitization, education, trying to tell people, you can sit here and call a cab using Uber, and the cab which will come is the one which is in the app, and the driver will be Brian, and he'll have a KDW, right? Before you trusted any platform, it took time. So we know it's not going to be like an overnight thing that now people are going to trust LiveStockEx and, all of a sudden we're going to be the poster boy of livestock industry in Kenya. No. We know that it will take at least 2 to 3 years such that people now start to understand, okay, this is what happens. When I go to LiveStockEx application, I go in and I'm like, I want this cow. This cow is of this breed. This cow is of this weight. This cow is of this sex. It is free from disease. This is when it was vaccinated. It was dewormed. So for us, we want to prove that that cow is loaded in that pickup, and that pickup is going to go safely to this abattoir or this farmer, right? And they're going to offload and they're going to slaughter that animal, or you're going to breed that animal depending on the use, and they're going to get the desired results. So it takes time. When I tell you about a Maasai farmer, you'd picture a guy with Maasai shukas holding a big stick, walking around, having 2,000 cows, right? Walking from Kajiado to Narok, vice versa, right? Going to the market, selling 2-3 cows whenever they want to marry another wife, something like that. That's what you'd picture, right? But the farmer has changed. The farmer is now your age. The farmer is my age. The farmer has gone to school. The farmer has a smartphone. The farmer is on TikTok and Facebook. So one of the misconceptions that I quickly learned that, okay, now we need to do away with this whole stereotype of, Maasai farmers are not literate. I tell you of a farmer who's a lawyer, who's a Maasai, who runs her own abattoir. And she has large tracts of land, she has her own livestock, and she comes to Nairobi for fun. I've been to her farm, I've been to her abattoir. But for us who are here in this bubble called Nairobi, we always think that, you know what, Maasais are Maasais. That's not the case. So when you go out there and start to interact with these farmers, then you realize, the farmer has changed. The farmer has changed, and also the buyer has changed. Because the average age of a farmer right now is 55? It used to be 65. It has gone down. Because our fathers and our grandfathers, natural selection, they're being phased out. But the people who are coming to take over as farmers, they've gone to school. They drive Subarus. They go to Vasha. Those are the farmers now. Now that farmer would want to do things more efficiently, would want to do things more transparently, and they would be like, you have this new technology. Okay, let me embrace it. Let me see. It's just like the way our Gen Zs of a different generation, they are going to be very different leaders from Gen X or Gen Y, right? And Gen Alpha are also going to be very different. So the farmer who's there right now, trust me, bro, they have changed. It's not the stereotypical livestock farmer that we've been taught. Actually, we've been taught. Most of the things that we know, we haven't experienced. We've been taught. We were taught that the Maasai keep livestock. We've been taught that the Bantu are farmers, right? We've been taught that you come from the coast of the lake, you are a fisherman. But my in-laws come from the lake region. Trust me, none of them is a fisherman. They're only doing other things. They have sugarcane and they're professors and, they're accountants and doctors and architects. But that's what we were taught, right? So we keep thinking that these farmers are supposed to behave in a certain way. So for us, we've come to understand that even our education process is not going to be that 2-3 years that we were anticipating. It's going to be shorter because the farmers have changed.
Yeah, interesting. So I'm seeing that you're betting on the farmer that you're targeting is sort of tech savvy and understands the internet and how to use various platforms. So that's the farmer you're looking at. But I'm also wondering in terms of your target market. So is it like a rancher kind of guy, like a guy who has things figured out, like he has his own 100-acre ranch, 10, like he has hundreds of cows, versus the Maasai guy who you were talking about, who basically wakes up in the morning, just goes through Narok and then returns the cows at home? Is your typical kind of guy you're looking at the first example of a farmer?
We're looking at everyone, even that guy who has one cow. Everyone. Yeah. If you have a cow, if you have a goat, if you have a sheep, if you have a donkey, if you have a camel, if you have a pig, we're soon going into poultry. We're looking at all those people.
Yeah, because I'm thinking in terms of the willingness to pay. So I'm guessing someone like you mentioned, high-end people, a Kempinski is likely to buy livestock or meat from a rancher who is more traceable. Let's say he has his vaccinations kind of things. This is where I got my cows, ABCD. So it's really traceable versus going to the Maasai person to buy the livestock from. So I'm guessing the first kind of farmer has more upside in terms of the amount of money we'll be able to pay you.
You've hit the nail right on the head. But the guy who sells to Kempinski also buys from the Maasai. Because how many cows can he produce in a year? If you have a herd of 200 cows, a cow takes 9 months to give birth. So that's the gestation period. Okay? Now, a cow takes another 18 months to 24 months to mature. So, if Kempinski is buying from Brian, even if you have 500 cows, you can only give Kempinski 10, 20 cows a month. Maybe. You cannot sell more than 10 per month. Now, you sell 10 cows per month. At the end of the year, how many cows are those? 120. Remember, we have 500. Then, now you've finished your cows. Now you need to figure out where you're going to buy other cows to sell to Kempinski. So we are trying to tell Kempinski, Brian here has 500 cows, but Brian cannot be selling to you 30 cows a month. Biologically, it's impossible. Right? So we want Kempinski to give Sikukuu a chance, because Sikukuu is the one who sells to Brian. Brian fattens the cow and then takes to Kempinski, which is okay. It's business, right? But we are saying Sikukuu is getting the shorter end of the stick, because Brian goes and buys this cow at 70,000 from Sikukuu, fattens it, sells it at almost double the price. Yes. Sells at 120,000 to Kempinski. But the only reason why that is being done is because Sikukuu maybe doesn't understand how to fatten the cow. And it takes less than 90 days to fatten a cow. So why don't we show Sikukuu how to fatten the cow? Brian here will still make his margins, right? Because not all farmers will jump into LiveStockEx the same time. Yeah, again, it's a process. But we want those ones who are able and willing to jump on, get the best price. So that's something that we are having few sellers who control the market. But we're having a lot of breeders who depend on these few sellers. And that's why the meat is very expensive, because all the sellers have hit a snag. So all the breeders, we are like, we don't have cows right now. Yeah. I ever go to the market and then they tell you there are no eggs. Whenever somebody tells you there are no eggs, then somebody somewhere has a container full of eggs. Where did they get the eggs? And those eggs he has not imported. He just got them from the local farmers. So there's a very big disconnect from the people who are producing the eggs, the people who are actually buying from the producers, and the people who are selling now to the market. And one of the reasons why we started LiveStockEx is we want there to be feedback. We want Kempinski to tell Sikukuu directly, not through Brian, hey, the cow you brought us the other time, it was very good. Just a good breed, tender meat, right? Not too hard, right age. Please continue keeping your cows like that, right? And maybe Sikukuu has just been grass feeding these cows, nothing more, right? It doesn't give any one of those fancy feeds, you know. Maybe he wanted to, but then he's getting feedback that, hey, your cows are good, because the cow is the breed. It's not actually what you can feed a very stunted growth cow for even 2 years. It will not grow. But you can have a very good breed, a Sahiwal. Oh, I've seen a cow which is almost a ton, 800 kilos, one cow. And it's because it is a very good breed. Because it's not a milking cow. It's a purely beef animal. So that feedback, we also want that feedback to flow. Because if somebody was not giving you feedback, like you're just in class and you're doing your tests and you're giving it to your teacher, who's taking it to a head teacher, and you're not being told whether you've passed or you failed. So you wouldn't know, like, I need to concentrate on this, or I need to, like, you know. So that feedback is not there for farmers. You keep on doing the same mistake, hoping to get different results. Yeah, and it's very unfair to the farmer. But that feedback can flow. You know, people are saying, oh, LiveStockEx, we just want to make money. No, that's not our main aim. Making money will be a byproduct of doing all these other things. We are going to make money. But so will everyone else. That's what people are not seeing. The farmer will make more money than he's making right now. The transporter will have assured jobs. They'll stop putting those placards on top of their pickups, ask for transport. You understand? Because once they come into the LiveStockEx, they'll know, I'll go and pick these goats, I'll take them here, I'll go and take this cow and take them here. They'll have constant work, right? The vets will also have constant work. Do you know how much a government vet is paid? 27,000 a month. He's an animal doctor. He's more important than our doctors, because we eat those animals. This guy is more important. I want to be very honest with you. 90% of your problems comes from the food you eat. You of all people know that. Because you start one day, you're like, we need to change the way we are doing things. People need to start eating more organic, right? Because that's the root of all our evils, our food. So imagine this guy who takes care of our livestock, which is a big part of our protein source. You're paying him 27K a month. This guy, fresh from Campo, has like a girlfriend somewhere. He needs to start courting. He has parents who took him to school through hardship. And then, do you know how many there are in Kenya? They are less than 20K. More and more young people don't want to be vets. Why? Because they're seeing you're going to go to school for 5 years, you come out, you're being paid 27 Gs. And the ones who come out, half of them already are working for the government. The other half, they work for pharmaceutical companies. They're going to be selling you sprays and dewormers, and the small percentage who remain open agrovet, because you cannot have an agrovet if you don't have a vet license. So they become businessmen. So they don't even practice. So about 55 to 60% of our animals are not taken care by vets. We are surviving by the grace of God. I'm telling you right now, because the big ranchers have vets, very good vets. They pay them well, very well. Go to Olpejeta, very structured. People on a payroll, people are being paid for SHA and NSSF, and they have per diems. You understand? Well, that's Olpejeta. All of us can't pay as well as Olpejeta. But here comes LiveStockEx. Just the vet. You know what? From my 5%, I'll give you 0.8%. Every time an animal is sold, I pay you. Yes. So I share with you part of what I make. Yeah. Right. What I want you to do is just go and check those cows. So the farmer is not paying the vet. We are paying the vet from our commission. So the vet who is going to make, just take 0.8%, multiply by the number of cows that you're going to be selling from one constituency. Don't even go to the county. Because each and every constituency has a market. You know that? Yeah. Yes. So take all those animals, all of a sudden, this one vet is the one checking all these animals, and we are buying from that one constituency. Right? And every time a cow is sold, a goat is sold, a sheep is sold, he earns. So this guy all of a sudden is motivated to be a better vet. So the farmer will make money, the vet will make money, the transporter will make money. Then now Kempinski will have variety and will have traceability. So by the time we're telling Kempinski, this animal has been dewormed, it has actually been dewormed, because this vet is depending on this animal for his commission. So they cannot lie that, we dewormed this animal and it's not. Because the animal, once it goes to be opened up, once an autopsy is done, you cannot eat an animal until a government vet that puts a stamp on it. So it's like a pathologist. So every abattoir has a pathologist. We call them government vets, but technically speaking, they are doing a post-mortem on a carcass. They look at worms, they look at, all the signs, they look at the liver, they look at the heart, they look at the lungs. If there's any issues, they condemn that carcass. That's a loss. Yeah, so we condemn about 15 to 20% of the carcass in Kenya. That is a lot. And you know where they end up? In the informal settlements. It's not that they are condemned and then they're incinerated. Now, the big abattoirs have incinerators. I want to be very clear. The Farmer's Choice, the Githunguri, all these big abattoirs. But most of our animals are not sold in the big abattoirs. They're sold in the butcheries. Yes, and it's even worse in the village. That animal doesn't even go to an abattoir. It's just slaughtered behind a hut somewhere, and then it's just skinned. Yes, and then it's put in the display, in the butchery, right? Because we don't have enough government machinery to go and check each and every butchery in Kenya and ask them, hey, where does this cow come from? We don't have that type of resources, right? But the big abattoirs, 15 to 20%, they condemn. and they incinerate. And you know who bears that loss? The farmer. Yeah. Why? Because he should have dewormed this animal. He should have sprayed it. He should have done things to it 90 days before it comes to market. But they did not. So they bear the loss.
This is something a lot of people don't pay attention to. We've had reports before about meat in supermarkets laced with a lot of chemicals, extra chemicals. I mean, we've had such a report, but I guess especially people in Nairobi are just too busy to care a little bit too much about those stories. But I think it's something a lot more people should inquire more and just try to know, where does my meat come from, or like, did it meet the standards that are meant to be put in place? So that's a whole lot of conversation to have as well. Something that I found interesting about what you're doing also is you are financing feedlots. I think you mentioned a little bit about it, but for someone who doesn't know what just fattening is and how the whole feedlot system works, just a little bit explain to them what it is and how are you financing such a system?
When we started, all of us thought demand was the problem. The problem is not the demand. We import 380,000 metric tons of beef every year. And you know how we import it? Not in containers, not in reefers, not in deep freezers. They walk into Kenya from Tanzania, from Uganda, from South Sudan, from Ethiopia. Ethiopia is one of our largest beef supplier, from Somalia. However, we have been told, oh, this is a Somali Boran. It's very white. So in East Africa, we have the biggest market because we have the strongest shilling. So all those other guys want to sell cows here. They don't sell in Dar es Salaam. Those guys in Ngorongoro, they want to make sure they reach Namanga, they cross the border, they come all the way to Narok or Kajiado or whatever, sell the animals there. So for us, we said, okay, what COVID and the recent war has shown us is you need to capacity build your markets, your local production, because your markets will not care that you do not have enough cows in the country. Because today, Sikukuu has 3 kids. Tomorrow, Brad will have 2 kids. We are having kids every day. Those kids need to eat. Where do you think the animals will come from? They have to come from somewhere. Yes, from the farmers. So we sat down and said, okay, the demand is not the issue. So how do we guarantee quality supply to the demand? Let's go and sit down with farmers and assist them in doing feedlots. So a feedlot is exactly what I've said. It's a feedlot. Yeah. It's a lot where you feed the animals. So animals grow to a certain age. For cows, let me take cattle. This bull will grow up to 18 months. By the time it turns 18 months, 19 months, it will be of a certain weight. If this bull is a Sahiwal is my favorite animal. If this bull is a Sahiwal, right, most likely at the age of 18 months, it's at around 450 kilos. If it is a good Sahiwal, 350 minimum. Okay? Now, we need this animal to reach at least 500 kilos. Remember, we have a lot of mouths to feed. So we need the shortest time possible to get the best quality meat to feed all these mouths. That's why in America they have a lot of feedlots. In Europe, they have a lot of feedlots. In China, they have a lot of feedlots. Because no matter what animal rights people will say, the biggest source of protein from animals, because not everyone will eat groundnuts, because groundnuts are not grown everywhere. Not everyone will eat soy, right? Do you know how many uses soy has? We are competing with the industrial section. We're competing with people who are doing hair products and toothpaste. They also use soy. But for beef, you're only competing with other cattle. Yes, right? So we sat down and said, okay, let's start a program that would guarantee quality to the demand, the market, because the market, you want the market to trust the quality of, right? And the only way you can do that is LiveStockEx, together with the farmers, come together and bring these animals to this particular feedlot such that then it can transition to the market once it is finished properly.
So is there like a minimum number of cattle that you need to have? Like what kind of things do you need to have for you to get into the program?
So before we was talking about 100, then we realized not many livestock farmers have 100 heads of cattle. This again, I'm just using an example. So we pushed it down to around 40, because if you have a herd of 200, 300 animals, you'll at least have 40 animals ready to go to market. So we took it down to around 40 animals. So if you have 40 animals, we come in and we partner with you. So yeah, so there's a minimum requirement. If the animal is not 250 kilos and above, we can't put it in a feedlot. Yes. And it has to be a male cow, because they gain weight very quickly because of the testosterone, of course. So because of the testosterone, they have to have bulls or steers. They go in. A good breed, again, a sahiwal, can gain up to a kilo every day. If the feeding formulation is good, they can gain even up to 1.5 every day. So other breeds gain between 700 grams to 800 grams, 900 if the feed formulation is good, every day. So in 90 days, this animal can gain more than 100 kilos if fed properly. So if this animal was 350 kilos going in, it comes out at around 450. And that's the best weight. That's the best weight for slaughtering an animal, getting the best cuts, getting the maximum returns, right? And you know, with any livestock, there's no wastage. So you sell the head and you sell the hooves. You sell the skin, you sell the meat, you sell the offals. Nowadays, even the people who buy blood to go and make fertilizer. So there's no waste. And any type of waste of shit that is in the offals goes to manure together with the blood. So that one cow can serve 4 or 5 industries, because it's the meat industry. Okay? Then there is the offal industry. There are people who just eat offals. That's not part of the meat. That's an industry altogether. There's the skin industry, and there's the fertilizer industry, and then there's the informal sector where people eat the head and the hooves. 5 industries at one cow. So every time we condemn 15-20% of those cows, people who are suffering somewhere.
Yeah. But when you say condemn, do you mean like they're going to throw it away?
No, you have to burn it to ashes. Because you've slaughtered the cow, you've dissected, even before skinning and everything, you've dissected it, and then you find this cow was sick. So if the cow is sick, even the skin is not good. Even the offals are not good. So you can't even sell the head and the hooves. You have to take that entire cow and put it in the incinerator, because you don't want diseases to spread. That's why you need to really rethink about building good farming practices in our livestock farmers. We have to stop taking our livestock farmers to 55 conferences every year, because that's what happens. People want to take these farmers, take them to Naivasha, take them to Laikipia, take them to Samburu. We have NGOs coming in and, pumping in a lot of money. I'm not saying that is wrong. What I'm saying is, let's go to the farmer at the farm. The farmer you'll give a farmer a per diem of 2,000 shillings. You'll take them to a hotel in Nairobi, give them tea and samosa, ship them back to Habaswein, and then you expect this guy to remember everything you've taught them in the classroom. So that type of knowledge transfer needs to stop. It's not working. Go tell the farmer, this is your cow. Look at the cow, look at the symptoms, look at the environment. Tell them, okay, you need a foot bath there. Okay, your security is not good. You need to improve on your security. Okay, what's the number one thing? There's a question you asked me. What's the number one thing that's ailing the livestock industry? finance. So a coffee farmer can walk into Equity Bank and be given a line of credit worth the amount of coffee that is not even ready in the farm. A tea farmer can walk into Family Bank and given a line for tea. We don't know if hail and storm will come and destroy, but they'll be given a line, a credit line. A sugarcane farmer will be given money. The cane is still on the ground. They haven't even come out, right? But a livestock farmer cannot even walk into a circle, let alone a microfinance, to be given money for cows which are there. They are walking. They are ready for slaughter. He can't be given money. Do you see the disconnect? So you want to tell me you can give somebody who has a tea plantation money for El Nino is coming. Right? Yeah, El Nino is coming. But you'll give this guy for 1 acre up to 1 million shillings, right? Maybe he has 10 acres. You give this guy 10 million just because you projected he's going to get 30 M from those 10 acres, right? So you're going to give him 30% of that. But I have 500 heads of cattle. One head of cattle like this, on average, is 70,000, whether it's male or female. So 70,000 multiplied by 500, how much is that? 35 million. So I have 35 million walking around. This other guy has 30 million sitting, right? I can get market faster for my 35 million. He has only one market, KTDA. If KTDA goes bankrupt today, then that tea rots. But I have 50 million Kenyans I can sell my 500 heads of cattle. Why wouldn't you finance me? Why wouldn't you finance the one person who people eat every day? The one thing that people eat every day. People eat eggs, people eat milk, people eat chicken, people eat beef every day. But there's some places in Kenya people don't even know how tea tastes. But you wouldn't want to finance a farmer who has it figured out. The livestock industry in Kenya is not financed properly. Yeah. And that needs to change. But it can't change because the financiers are telling you, what if the animal dies? And we are telling them, what if El Nino comes and washes away all the coffee? The same risk, right? They're saying, but this guy has land, we can charge the land. They're saying, okay, securitize the animals. Let's put tags on the animals. Let's track and trace them everywhere they are. We have those technologies right now to know where the animals are. If you can put a smart collar on a dog, why can't you put a smart collar on a cow? That cow is worth more than that dog, right? I mean, there are those technologies which are there right now that can guarantee the financier that these animals are in one place. Now, people are always saying that, we have 16 million cows. 5 million of those cows keep walking around. Yes, but 11 million of those cows are in places where they're not moving. When you go to El Pojeta, it's a big place, but the cows are always there in El Pojeta. Yeah. If you go to Marula, it's a big place, but the cows are there. It's 11,000 acres, but they're not going beyond 11,000 acres. Yeah. But these guys have to beg banks to give them even 5% of the amount of money they need. So we need to do something on the financing side, or else we're going to just go into this vicious cycle.
Get into a loop that you almost always predict what's going to happen next. So, you give an example there. So I'm thinking, is it because the livestock industry doesn't have a direct market, like a guaranteed market where you can sell your stuff to? Because you gave the example of tea, you can sell to KTDA.
Coffee, you sell to Coffee Producers Union. You understand? Sugarcane, you have West Kenya buying everyone's sugar right now, right? Yes, that's the whole point of having LiveStockEx. So we're trying to create those verified markets.
Yeah, I mean that gives more assurance to the bank or like to the cooperatives. Like, okay, he's probably going to sell X amount, so you can maybe put it at 20%.
So I keep going to this example because this example is, I could say, an apple-to-apple comparison in what is happening in the livestock industry. 10 years ago, you couldn't finance a taxi driver because there's no technology, there's no transparency. You wouldn't know how much they're earning. You wouldn't know who they're carrying. You wouldn't know their peak hours. You wouldn't know how much fuel they are consuming. Right now, go to any bank, say, I have been in Uber for 5 years. I have two cars. I need a third one. They won't even blink. They won't blink. They'll be like, how much do you need? Why are you buying the car? Get us the invoice. We will even register it for you. We'll even give you insurance for the car. They won't even blink because Uber came and created the market. Now, before Uber, people were still using cabs. Before LiveStockEx, people were still selling cows. But they came and standardized the market and said, look, you can't charge someone 2,000 from Langata to town. You'll only make one trip. But if you charge them 350, you'll make 10 trips. Same amount of fuel. Because Langata to town is less than 4 kilometers. Yeah. So which one do you want? Do you want 2,000 or do you want 3,500? So for us, we're also giving farmers options and saying, hey, you've been selling your cows at 70K, giving you an option to get 100K, but give us 5. You remain with 95. But for you to sell your cows in our platform, these are the requirements. So if this farmer keeps on selling through our platform, then one day be like, you know what? We need to go and help this farmer because they keep selling good quality meat.
Because now they have the history, they have the data, you can track what they've been doing and the responses from the customers.
But Uber is not financing the cars. The banks are the ones financing the cars. Uber is just giving a software. So we can't finance all the livestock farmers in Kenya. We need partners. We need banks, we need DFIs, we need SACCOs, we need chamas. We need people who will come in and say, you know what? These guys are onto something. Let's start with one farmer. Let's give them money for the feed. Let them sell through LiveStockEx. Let those animals go to Kempinski. Let the money come out. We'll deduct ours, we give farmers theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's giving guys that record, like that data where they can go back and actually track, gives confidence to the partners. You're talking about banks because they have something to look at in terms of history. So are you saying that a lot of the problems that the livestock industry is facing can be solved through technology, or is it going to be part of the solution?
It's going to be part of the solution. A lot of our problems are because of our behavior. We need a social behavioral change. We need to stop looking at livestock the way we are looking at. If we change our behavior 50%, we would have solved 90% of the problem. The technology just comes to now enable that environment now to thrive. Because if we are going to sell the same livestock in a new platform, you haven't solved anything. But if you are going to improve our practices and then now sell those animals in this new platform, then the sky is the limit for us. During COVID, what's the one thing that happened in the entire country? People stopped going to the hospital. The only people who are going to the hospital are those ones who are critically ill. Do you know, just by washing your hands, you eliminate 60% of the diseases in your life? Just by washing your hands. And most of the people used to go to hospital, they used to go on Monday. But they ate very wrong things during the weekend. Now they have a stomach upset. Now they need to go to the hospital. Right? So, by us just improving the quality of meat, we're also going to reduce the number of diseases that are there in the country. Because once you eat a goat which has worms, those worms will go into your stomach, right? And you know, your rumen is not as hardy as the one for a goat. So what happens? You start getting complications, right? But imagine if this goat was dewormed properly. If this goat was left for 90 days for that those chemicals to be flushed out of the system? What if you go to hospital and they check your blood? Well, how many farmers check the blood of their animals? And we eat the same animals, eh? But we check our blood, but we don't check the blood of the animal. So those small practices that we need to bring in place will improve the quality of our meat. And once we do that, then we're going to reduce, we're not going to eliminate, but reduce hunger. Because now it means if all the farmers start practicing well, the price of the meat will not be as expensive. Because right now, again, I like using the big ranches. You're buying sirloin steak, right, from Angole farm at 1,200 a kilo because of best farming practices. Same cow, same breed in Samburu will not fetch the same price. Why? Because that farmer hasn't dewormed that cow, doesn't have records for that cow. He has never sprayed that cow from ticks. Same cow, you might even find it's the same weight. Same breed. He has a Saiwal, it's a Saiwal. 400 kilos, 400 kilos. But they're 400 kilometers apart. But one farmer in Olpejeta or in Angole, they're practicing well. So you're not actually buying the cow. You're buying the best farming practices. So you're sure this meat is quality. But same cow, 400 kilometers apart, you can't even buy that cow at 70,000.
Yeah, because you don't trust, you don't have the data something to look on to actually verify all your fears or to elude all your fears. So yeah, that absolutely makes sense. As we finish, I was wondering in terms of opportunities in the livestock sector, because we have a lot of unemployment in the country, right? And you mentioned we are heading in the right direction in terms of the average age of the farmer that we have, it kind of trending downwards. But for a young person who is looking at the livestock industry, what kind of opportunities exists for young people who might want to be involved in that sector?
The only way we are going to shift our country from a third world to even a second world, if we're going to reach Singapore at any one point in our lives, we need to go back to farming, and farming aggressively, with intention, with purpose, with a lot of knowledge. So this is a true story I'm telling you. In Maasai land, when you go and get married, your wife, her family gives her about, depending on the level of wealth they have, because they have wealth. Maasais have wealth. They give them between 40 to 200 goats. Her family, during the wedding day. Your family does the same. They give you between 40 to 200 goats. So you start life with 80 goats. Now, you need to understand a Maasai man cannot be let to marry if they don't have their own livestock. A Maasai boy is given 30 to 40 goats and sheep when they're the age of 6 to 7 years. The father is the one who gives. By the time that boy is 18, he has a herd of between 70 to 150 cows from those goats. If you go to Maasai land right now and aggregate all the livestock and you start paying each Maasai like this, they're going to be the new millionaires in Kenya. Okay? So what I'm saying is, if you're a young person and you're following the organic guy, the number one thing you need to tell yourself is, what can I farm? It doesn't need to be a goat or a cow. What can I farm? Can I start farming a quarter of an acre with sukuma wiki for 2.5 months? Harvest, throw yourself out there, go to the market, gongwa kidogo, rushwa hii Nairobi, pigwa character development, go back, farm, now go back to the market. Now you have knowledge. I need to sell to this guy, not that guy, right? By the end of the year, you would have sold 3 times. So most of us want to bear all the burden to the government. They're telling, the government needs to do this, the government needs to do that. Sawa. But what can the government do and what the government cannot do? The government will not wake you up in the morning to give you ideas on how to become rich. It will just give you an enabling environment, a peaceful, conducive environment. It will collect taxes, right? But it will not give you ideas on how to, create generational wealth. So if you're a young person and you really want to make a difference in your life, go into livestock. You will not regret. Start with the smallest number of goat or sheep. Don't even go to cows. Goat especially. Go into goats. Go into sheep. Let them multiply. Start going to the market. Take your one goat. Find out how to sell this one goat. Go back to the village. Once you sell one goat, you can go and buy your neighbor's 2 other goats. So that's 1. 2, farming needs patience, which young people don't have. And they don't know that they have one thing that the rest of us don't have: time. Young people have time. You have time to make mistakes. You have time to grow. You have time to make money. But make it the right way. Like, if you have 2 goats today, don't expect by tomorrow you'll have 3 goats. Our goat needs to become pregnant. It needs to give birth. So a goat can give birth maybe twice a year. If you have 4 goats in July, you may have 7 or 6 goats by December, right? And then they'll start growing like that. So if you're a young person and you want to go into farming, there's there's a lot. First of all, there's a lot of information about livestock farming, and we need to credit YouTube for this. There's a lot of information. There are a lot of communities on Facebook and TikTok and all that. And then now you have market. Even if you don't want to go into the farming itself, go to your village. All villages in Kenya, I tell people, all villages in Kenya, there's a guy who has a goat or a sheep. Buy that goat, take it to the market, sell it, get a small margin, go back in the village again, buy 2 goats, take it to the market. You understand? By the time you are selling 3-4 times, right, you'd have learnt a lot of things. Now, this is when I bring LiveStockEx. Now you have some bit of money. You don't know where to get the goats or the sheep. Go into LiveStockEx. Buy the goat, buy the sheep, right? Keep it for 1-2 months, float the trade again, make some bit of money when people don't least expect. Now you don't actually need to go to that village. You can actually buy that goat. It will be transported to you. You'll keep it for a month or 2. When the market is high, you sell it again. You don't need to wait for this goat to give birth and all that. So if you're a young person and you know how to use technology, you can make a lot of money on LiveStockEx. Clean money. See ya forex ya kusijui nini. Clean money. And you're going to be selling real things. You're going to be selling goats and sheep and all that. So this comes at a very timely, point in a young people's lives, because I didn't have LiveStockEx growing up. You didn't have LiveStockEx growing up, right? There's so many platforms are selling a lot of things, but people are still saying, I can't get a job, but you can trade, and you can trade meaningful, yeah, and you can start with a small amount of money, and it can grow. So take advantage of these tools as a young person right now, and you'll see what happens in a year or 2 from now.
I think you nailed it in the head, especially on the patience part, where we expect to mention about trading, like you put a trade now, in the next few minutes you expect it goes up, then you make millions, But unfortunately, nature doesn't work that way. It has certain cycles that you have to wait for you to earn your keep. But very interestingly, you talked about unahitaji kugongwa kiasi. So that means you need to take chances as well.
But then now, kugongo itaisha, because now we have verified buyers. If you know that this guy doesn't have money in their wallet, then they'll not buy from you. So we are reducing those risks of you actually going out there and saying, let me go to LiveStockEx, let me buy a goat. This goat has already been checked by a vet. It is free from diseases. And the goat doesn't need to come from far away. Most of the times what we are seeing, so let me give you an example. What happened last week? We have a feedlot in Narok. This guy, most of the time goes all the way to Garissa to buy his cows. Then, same week, we got cows which need to go to the feedlot, which are 8 kilometers from him. Do you know how far Garissa is from Narok? Ask Google, it will show you. Like it's far. These cows were 8, not 80, not 18, 8 kilometers from the feedlot. These cows can literally walk to where they need to be fattened. But this guy goes all the way to Garissa to buy animals. So that shows you how you can be in Nyahururu. You think you need to go all the way to Kajiado to buy sheep. But the sheep are just there in Nyahururu for you to buy. But the only way you can know this is by going to LiveStockEx. You're like, okay, where are the sheep? I want to buy the sheep. I want to buy the goat. And once you buy that goat and you buy that sheep, after 2 months, I can guarantee you the price of meat. Go and check. I don't know when you're born. I will not tell you when I was born. But go and check. The price of meat since you were born has never gone down, right? So it means if you buy 5 goats today and you just wait till December, just December, not even next year, you're going to get at least 10-20% return on investment. There are very few money market funds that will give you 20% in 5 months, right? Some of them will even promise heaven and then deliver, and then get taxed. You understand? So those are some of the things that, young people need to like sit down and be like, okay, now I have a conducive environment. I can buy reliable livestock, and I have verified buyers. Let me put some money. Let me buy through LiveStockEx. Let me hold. Let me wait till August when there's sherehe. Let me sell through LiveStockEx. Let me buy some more. You understand? People who are doing that, and I know a few people who have started doing that through LiveStockEx, they're making good money. Don't wait for the government to give you solutions. The government will only give you solutions to a certain extent. But the government won't make you rich. You have the tools right now. Yes. As a young, especially the young people right now, I wish I was a Gen Z. I wish I was a Gen Z, and I wish I knew these things I know right now. Like, I would make a lot of money. But that doesn't mean I can't transfer the knowledge I have to these young people. But they have time, they have resources. Right now, I can't go and take a loan. I'm beyond that loan age, so you might know how old I am. But a young person at 25 can walk to any bank as long as they're not in CRB. They can be given an unsecured facility of 10 million shillings. You know that? Unsecured, because you're 25, without being on a payroll. Unsecured. They just look at, okay, they're saying up to 10 million. They look at your M-Pesa, so they give you maybe 3 million or 4 million. So imagine if you go to them and you've done a few trades on LiveStockEx and we are giving you statements every month, they see this guy, he's buying and selling cows. He's a trader. They give you money because you are young. You have the advantage of time. But people like us, they're already told, hey, you're not a youth anymore. You're not a youth.
Really, really interesting. I mean, thank you for that. I mean, I think a lot of people needed to hear that as well, especially when they're young. They might feel like, they're lost or like they don't know what to do. But I guess just taking the first step and just starting small always helps. And as you said, these things make sense when you look at, like, in hindsight. You look backwards and you realize, oh, okay, I'm glad that I started, like, I bought like 2 goats last year, or like a goat last year, or a cow last year. So that's when you start to see like the real benefits of just starting from where you are as well. From your perspective, I want you to paint for us a picture. Let's say 20 years from now, everything's perfect. LiveStockEx is like really thriving. A lot of people are buying, selling their livestock online. The government's doing its part. The consumers are very aware of where their meat comes from. The farmers are aware. How does that world look like? Let's say 2040.
That world looks very streamlined. And technology, especially artificial intelligence, is going to force us to streamline a lot of industries. And I believe one of the industries that is going to benefit from technological advancement is on the livestock industry, right? Livestock sector, agriculture industry, livestock sector. 2040 would see young farmers who by then would be maybe in their 40s. They would have embraced LiveStockEx fully. They would not buy or sell animals or platforms like LiveStockEx, because of course once you come into a certain market, other players will also follow, right? So they will embrace technologies like LiveStockEx for all their sourcing needs, for all their market insights, for their financing, for their insurance, transportation. Like, farming is going to be interesting in the future because a lot of things are going to be demystified and a lot of things are going to be de-risked. Because the biggest issue with Africa is risk. They're like, oh, this idea is good, but you're in Africa. Oh, you're in Africa. Risk. The only way we are going to de-risk a lot of these things is through technology. So, imagine you have access to finance, you have access to markets. Those two things alone are going to propel our young farmers, who by then are going to be in their 40s, to earn 4x, 5x, or whatever we are earning right now, which is insane, right? And that's where now we're going to see now the benefits of now agriculture. Yeah, digital involvement and enhancement. But before then, before 5, 10, 15 years from now, there's going to be a lot of speculation. Somebody asked me, oh, you're not sure you're not working with Elon Musk? I'm like, I'm sure even Elon Musk doesn't know I exist. And if he does know, then yes, we would work with him. But like, there are a lot of speculation right now.
For sure. And these things actually take time. I mean, you can see the evolution of whether it's online buying from Amazon. I mean, when they started in 1997, some people are like, what? You mean like I can buy something from the internet? Right now in the US, like, if I can't buy your product online, I'm like, what are you doing? Right? So I think it's the kind of things takes time. And yeah, when people get used to it, they get into the rhythm, they say, oh, okay, this is a normal way of life as well. So looking forward to that. As we finish here, I usually have something I call rapid fire questions. So what I've done, I've prepared 10 questions for you. So the idea is very simple. I'll just throw this question to you and you'll give me quick and short answers to them. You ready?
Cool.
All right. So the first question is, what was the first career you dreamed of having as a kid?
Mechanical engineer.
Second, what is one word that describes Kenya's livestock sector?
Exciting.
Third, what is the biggest myth people have about pastoralists?
They're illiterate, they're backward, they're not tech savvy. There are a lot of myths. Like the pastoralists, they're very advanced.
That's good to hear. All right. So the fourth one is, what is the one technology every livestock farmer should embrace today?
Traceability.
All right. What is the most underrated livestock enterprise in Kenya?
Donkey farming.
Sixth, what is the one trait every successful livestock farmer must have?
You need to be passionate.
Seventh one, if you could solve one problem in the livestock sector overnight, what would it be?
Finance.
Eighth, what is the one mistake first-time livestock investors always make?
They think that you have to take 9 sheep, get them pregnant, and then they're going to give birth in 2 weeks. Patience. Most farmers are not patient. Yeah, if you are patient and you're doing livestock farming, you'll go far. You just need to be patient.
All right. Ninth question. What is one quote that resonates with you the most?
Against all odds. Yeah, I've carried it for over 25, 30 years of my life. And I knew it when I was a very young boy. So against all odds. Like, things need to happen against all odds.
Last one. Knowing what you know now, what advice could you give to your 18-year-old self?
In your spare time, read books that have nothing to do with your curriculum. Business books, travel books, fashion books. Read books that will improve yourself, as a person, because that was going to be more marketable in this future I am living right now, other than what you learned in school. 18 years ago, if I had read books to do with how to start a business, how to run a business, other than reading periodic table during my free time, maybe things would have been different. I don't know. But knowing what I know right now, read books that will improve you as a person first, and then gain other skills.
Yeah, absolutely. That one makes sense. It also helps like improve your worldview of how you see things, gives you different tastes, if you may, of the different cultures as well. So yeah, I mean, just basically expanding your knowledge and your worldview.
If I hadn't started traveling because I was employed when I was in campus, so I was in third year and I was already employed. Yes, that's how crazy it was. If I hadn't started traveling then, and like appreciate and understand different cultures, I 100% wouldn't have the kind of mindset I'm having right now. It's like when you go to Shags and you try and talk to somebody about geopolitics, and that person has never come out of your Shags. They've never even gone to your town. Like me, I come from Kwanzaa. They've never been to Kitale town. But you're trying to explain to them about world politics, they'll never understand. And they'll never appreciate as well. And they don't know how it affects them. It does affect them, but they don't understand. And they don't even care. So if you read books if I had read books that, would have prepared me more for what I'm experiencing right now, maybe I wouldn't have done some mistakes I'm doing right now. But I keep on learning, I keep on. Now it has taken me time to like start refining myself, because I don't know what the next 20 years would hold for me. Yeah, so that's what I would tell my 18-year-old, and I would tell every young person. In your spare time, read other books. Nothing to do with mechanical engineering or architecture or whatever. Nothing to do with those things. Read books about fashion and cooking and horse riding. Funny things. Yeah, and 20 years from now, it's going to help you a lot.
For sure. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for making time for the podcast. I really enjoyed it. Just in case someone gets to get hold of you or just want to get in touch, how can they do that?
I am only active on LinkedIn. I don't do any other social media platform. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook, WeChat, Snapchat, this chat. So LinkedIn, Sikukuu A Maclanhan, you'll get me there.
All right, awesome. Thank you for sharing your perspective about the livestock sector and the amazing work you guys are doing at LiveStockEx. I hope a lot of guys who watch the podcast will find it very insightful. And if they're farmers, can check out your platform as well to see how they can benefit from it. All right, if you enjoyed the podcast as well, make sure you give us a like. And if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section. Remember, if you haven't subscribed as well, make sure you do, because we have a lot of great content coming your way. Till the next one, remember to be organic. Cheers.